Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to do my review of the 100 Days to Indy. Before I start this video, I just want to say sorry for the lack of upload recently. I've been really busy with work and I haven't really had a chance because I haven't had my mic with me to film videos or make videos, so the quality of this is probably going to be really bad because I'm on my laptop, so yeah, sorry about that guys. But I wanted to get this video out for you guys, so yeah, let's get right into it. So I'm going to start the review on the positive side, so I'm going to just list all the stuff I think what was really good about it, and then at the end of the video I'm going to talk about the stuff I didn't really like about it. So let's get right into it. So first of all, I just want to say how impressed I was by the production quality. I knew, coming into it was probably going to be a very high production, but just from the second it began to the end, it was everything was incredibly well laid out and just done, and they did a fantastic job, and I'm so glad it was so good. It was so watchable. Like, they definitely hyped up like a lot of it, of course they always do that around the Indy 500, like, welcome to the greatest spectacle in racing, this and that, like the whole legendary, you're going to be remembered forever, you're a legend. And I think they did a really well job of conveying how big of a sport it was, because realistically, a lot of the intro to the show was catering towards the new people that don't really know a lot about the Indy 500 or IndyCar in general, so I think the whole intro was actually really good, the way they kind of conveyed it, but it was kind of, they dramatized it, but it wasn't like overly cringy, so that is really good. The show definitely kind of had, for me, it kind of had Drive to Survive, like, kind of vibes to it, but where it kind of did better than Drive to Survive, Drive to Survive really kind of over-dramatized stuff, and at points it's like cringy the way they kind of do stuff, but I think they made it entertaining. They also had a lot of drama in the show, but they gave the drama realistic. They didn't like over-dramatize stuff, and there was a good mix between drama-filled sections and then heartfelt sections. So I think overall they had a really good balance of just everything. It just really flowed pretty well together. So then in the first part of this episode, they focused on Newgarden and his family and his wife and his kids and stuff, and I just want to shout out to Newgarden. I guess I always knew this, but Newgarden is like huge. I don't know how he even fits in that Indy car. It's crazy to me, but it's just hilarious. Either way. And then I really enjoyed how they kind of let this first episode, it was very kind of heartfelt and kind of like, especially the first half of the episode, it was very behind the scenes, so even if you've been watching IndyCar for 20 years, it was enjoyable because you got to see the kind of behind the scenes of, the drivers and their families, well, mainly Newgarden's family. There was a few segments with other people's, but it was mainly new guys, and it was cool to see, like I compared this to Drive to Survive. There's some of that in Drive to Survive, but they really like focused on like the family aspects, and they're not just drivers, they actually have lives outside of it. Newgarden has a wife, he has I think one kid, so it was really cool. I really liked it, and I hope I noticed on this episode they focused on a few drivers specifically. They focused on Newgarden, Scott, Pato, and Marcus Ericsson. So I'm hoping throughout the season they go through some other drivers. There are some really other good drivers they could go through. I'm hoping they kind of do an episode focused around some of the F1 like rookies. There's Callum Ilott, there's Marcus Armstrong, and Grosjean. I guess he's not a rookie, but it'll be kind of interesting to kind of hear, especially the rookies like Callum Ilott and Marcus Armstrong. What, because they're extremely talented drivers, they worked all the way up to the the F1 ladder, and then they could not find anything in F1, so then they chose to go to IndyCar, and that's kind of, at this point, I think a lot of them people is kind of their home at this point, so I think it will be pretty cool to cover that, just to be pretty awesome. So, and then they talked to Pat Ward a few times. They didn't really have a huge focus on Pato. They focused on it a few times, probably like five or so minutes, but then they also focused on Marcus Ericsson a lot, and I don't know why this is always a thing on the commentary too. They're always trying to say Marcus Ericsson is like an underdog and no one ever sees him coming, and his nickname is the Sneaky Swede. Like, my perspective of watching IndyCar for the last like 3 or 4 years, I've never really discounted Marcus Ericsson ever. I've always seen him. He's always been a contender. He won the 500. Of course, that was kind of weird circumstances. He's won a few races. He won like this race race, and he's always been there. I don't understand why everyone kind of sees him as like, he's never in the fight. I've always seen him as a top driver, but I don't understand where the whole mentality of, oh, he's just always there and he sneaks a win and somehow. It's like, no, his team has a really good strategy and he's a really good driver and he deserves everything. I don't understand it. It's weird. So overall, I think the first episode was an incredibly good episode, and I'm looking forward to all the other episodes, and I'm probably gonna make a review on every single episode. Okay, so next up, we're gonna be talking about the negatives, what I did not like about it, and clearly, if you've watched the whole video right here, I'm a huge IndyCar fan. I have nothing but respect for IndyCar. I'm gonna be critical because I love IndyCar. And this isn't hate, this is just my kind of honest opinion about it. So my biggest critique about this whole series when they kind of announced it a few months ago was the fact that they were going to be releasing it on the CW network and the CW app. Which, I mean, in terms of in America, it's not the most popular network and it's not the most popular app. But in terms of distribution among Americans, it worked. Everyone can get access to the paid network if they want to. And then how the CW works is a day after it premieres on the network TV, it premieres on the app, what works out amazing for people, because even if it premiered on Netflix, you would have to have an active Netflix subscription to actually watch it, so giving the free option to people was great. It was very available in the United States, but outside the United States it's very hard to access it, from my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can only access the CW network from the United States, which is great, but the problem is all the European viewers can't access it. I know there's a lot of IndyCar fans from, Europe, UK, Australia, just everywhere in Europe, and it kind of sucks for them. They have to use a VPN to access the show. What's kind of a big oversight. I wish they should, I'm fine with it if they made it on the CW network, but they should have made some sort of European distribution. I don't know if there's any sort of equivalent. Obviously, I'm sure there is somewhere. There is some kind of equivalent you can to disperse it to Europe, what would work out best for Europeans. So, and then the other minor thing, this was kind of what they kind of mixed up reality here. There was, right at the beginning of the episode, there was kind of a scene when they showed Will Power and they showed Christian Lundgaard, and they kind of inferred that Christian Lundgaard won a race, which is not actually true. I think he believed he got third or something. So they never really said he won a race, but they kind of showed video and they kind of inferred that he won a race, what was not exactly true, but I guess, I don't know. It was kind of interesting. Maybe they just kind of mixed that with the editing. I don't know. The one other thing I didn't really like that much is they said this multiple times throughout the whole episode, that basically the only people that can win the Indy 500 was Team Penske and Chip Ganassi, which is completely untrue. And that's kind of what IndyCar prides itself in, is the fact that anyone can turn up to the Indy 500. You can have the lowest budget team and you can win the Indy 500. And that's what separates IndyCar from F1, because in F1, there's only 2 or 3 teams capable of winning races. In IndyCar, there's 12 teams capable of winning races. There's 27 drivers capable of winning races, but they kind of inferred that basically the only drivers that can win is the top 2 teams, which is completely untrue. Maybe they're going to clear it up next episode, but I don't know. Hopefully they clear that up. And then finally, this isn't really necessarily a critique of the actual series. This is more of an IndyCar thing. And I know this is probably a controversial take, but I do think IndyCar, of course I know the 500 is the biggest race, it's their Monaco Grand Prix, it's their 24 hours of Le Mans, it's their Daytona 24 hours or whatever, but I do think IndyCar invests way too much money into the Indy 500. I understand it's their biggest event, it makes them their most money, and inevitably IndyCar needs money to operate, so investing as much money into the Indy 500 as possible is of course useful for them, but I do feel like the organization kind of puts so much merit on the 500, and then the other 16 races are just kind of an afterthought, which I hope they can kind of, because F1 has kind of changed that recently. F1 kind of used to be like that too, but now F1's kind of diverse. Their backing on all races are pretty equal. Of course, there's even in F1 there's some there's some staple races they put more marketing into, like Monaco, Miami, Kota, Spa, etc. But I wish Indy, and that's kind of what I think IndyCar really need to do. I don't think they necessarily need to treat every single race like a 500, but they need to put more energy into, they do put more energy into stuff like Road America, but I think they should put like more energy into races like, they need to have more than one staple race. They need to have, the 500, then, Road America, and then like, Nashville Grand Prix. I know that's one they're putting a lot of energy into, but if they could create 5 or 6 really big staple races, I think that would really help the series grow. So that's going to be it for this video. Tell me what you kind of think of the show. Tell me if I missed anything. I probably missed a lot of the fine details, because I watched it a few hours ago, and I kind of wrote some stuff down, and that's kind of my honest opinion. So tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.